All right, guys, welcome back to the Yes It Means Yes podcast. On this week's episode, we have guest Kayleigh Pears. She's actually a board member of the Women Against Cyberrape organization. As usual, my name is Faith Nomchef. I'm the victim advocate and outreach coordinator with Rape Counselors of East Alabama. I'm going to let Aileen and Annabelle introduce themselves and then have Kayleigh tell us about her role.
Hey, I'm Aileen Nelson. I am a former volunteer with Rape Counselors of East Alabama, now Prevention Education Coordinator, Co-Prevention Education Coordinator.
Hey, I'm Annabelle, and I was also a volunteer, and then I was an intern, and now I'm a co-prevention educator.
Hey, I'm Kayleigh Pears, and I'm a board member of Women Against Cyberrape.
Okay, perfect. So, when y'all followed me, or the Rape Counselors of East Alabama Instagram, I'm going to be completely honest, I've been with Rape Counselors since April of 2018. I had never heard of the term cyber rape. So I was really interested in about your organization and exactly what y'all did. So could you kind of go in and explain what exactly cyber rape is?
All right, so cyber rape is the sharing of another person's intimate images without that person's consent. Usually in the media, it's referred to as revenge porn, but we take issue with that name because revenge isn't always the motive, and calling it pornography just seems a little icky. It's also known as non-consensual image sharing and sextortion. Cyber rape sometimes starts with an ex-partner, but once uploaded, anyone can share that image on the internet, and other perpetrators can include a partner, friends, or really anyone off the street. A lot of cyber rape survivors don't know the perpetrators. Cyber rape can occur for a number of reasons, but these four are the most common. The first is to blackmail the victim into performing other sex acts. The second is to coerce the victim into continuing a relationship. The third is to punish the victim for ending a relationship. And the fourth is for the perpetrator's own entertainment, which is usually the most common reason. Cyber rape usually spreads through social media, such as Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. But there are also websites specifically devoted to trafficking these images. So there's specific pornography websites that are for revenge pornography photos and videos. Cyber rape victims are known to suffer from the following consequences: frayed romantic and social relationships, the loss of a job or future employment opportunities, community ostracization, loss of sponsorships, scholarships, or other funding, loss of customers or business, cyber stalking, anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, insomnia, physical illness, paranoia, physical harm caused by third parties, murder, and or suicide.
So Kayleigh, can you tell us a little bit more about what your organization does?
Yeah, for sure. Our ultimate goal is to raise awareness to the issue of cyber rape, as well as to provide resources for survivors of revenge porn. So our current activities include giving survivors advice on filing police reports, advice on finding an attorney, and tips to submit a Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Our goals are currently to raise awareness of cyber rape, as well as to put a human face on the issue. And we're currently working on a grant to seek funding for a university tour to raise awareness to the issue of cyber rape after the pandemic is over, of course. And we also raise awareness through our social media accounts on Twitter and Instagram, and we provide survivor support through these channels.
Awesome. Okay. So it does sound like y'all are doing a lot of advocacy roles that are kind of similar to us. So how did you get involved with the organization? Did you start with them from the beginning? Did you help kind of found it? Can you give me some background on that?
Yeah, I did not help found it. It was actually founded by Becca Wells. It was originally Women Against Revenge Porn, but last year we decided to change the name to make it more descriptive of the harm that survivors have gone through. So she started it a few years ago after her photos were leaked by an ex-boyfriend. And they were shared to a revenge porn website, and she was one of the first people in the United States to file a lawsuit against the perpetrator. And unfortunately, the lawsuit fell through. So she decided to start advocating and doing activism and things like that to help other people who have gone through what she's gone through. And I got involved with them. I was taking a class at Auburn, and I needed a client project, and I decided, why not make the client project something I'm actually interested in advocating for? So I sought out different organizations, and I chose Women Against Cyberrape.
Okay. So did it start in Auburn, or is it like a national thing? And this is just the Auburn.
It's a national thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you a board member for the national organization?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. For some reason, I was under the impression that it was an Auburn area thing. Okay, that's
no,
great.
It's not an Auburn area thing. The founder is actually in Florida, but it's definitely nationwide.
So how many board members do y'all have?
We have 3 right now.
Okay. So it's still kind of like, what year was it founded?
I believe this specific name, we were founded last year in 2019, but I believe the entire organization was founded in 2014.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So y'all are still fairly new. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay. So moving into like more statistics and everything, and just kind of like the survivors you work with, what percentage of individuals are affected by cyber rape?
All right, so I don't have a specific percentage, but it's known to be 1 in 25 Americans
Okay.
are threatened with revenge porn and cyber rape. 90% of survivors are women, so 10% are male. 1 in 8 social media users are the targets of cyber rape, and 17% of LGBTQ plus individuals have been threatened with or had non-consensual posting of intimate images. And then 1 in 10 women under the age of 30 has been threatened with cyber rape.
So the people that are wanting to post the revenge porn, are there certain websites that are just known in that, I guess, I don't want to use the word community, but like that group of people that do that? So there's just like a set like number of websites. Like I've literally never heard of this in my life, so I don't understand how someone could like figure out.
It's very much like an underground kind of thing. Like you can't go on Google and be like, which is good. Like you can't go on Google and be like, how do I post a revenge porn? Because that would be terrible, right? But there are websites. So an example of one that doesn't exist anymore was isanyoneup.com. And it was run by Hunter Moore. He received 2.5 years in prison, I believe, for sextortion and violating people's privacy. I believe it was found that he had hacked some of the images that he had received. Another known case, I forget what the website was called, but his name was Kevin Bollert. He was in California. I believe he's facing 18 years, or he is in prison now, and he's going for 18 years. And he was charged with identity theft and extortion because he would post the photos and then he would charge the women in the photos money to have them taken off the website.
When you said hacking, so like can they, I mean, I'm sure anyone like this can get around whatever they want, but like iCloud and stuff, is that like a big one that you see?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure if you remember, I think it was in 2014, all those celebrity photos got hacked, and it was a really big deal. It was like Jennifer Lawrence, I think Aubrey Plaza was one of them, Amber Heard, all their photos got hacked by just this random guy and leaked online.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, what are the kind of legal protections that victims can get? So, like, if you want to take somebody to court because they've posted pictures of you online without your consent.
So one of the first things we recommend is collecting evidence. You're not going to get anywhere without evidence that someone has been doing this to you. And then there are all kinds of channels on social media to request that the photos be taken down. And those forms are all available online. What else do we recommend? Sorry, I have notes.
No, you're good.
So, like, is most of it like data privacy though, or like, I know you said identity theft, extortion,
Yeah, I have a couple of examples of different states and their specific revenge porn laws. So 46 states and Washington, D.C. have laws that specifically target cyber rape. So in Alabama, the crime is distributing a private image. It's a Class A misdemeanor, but if you do it again, it's a Class C felony. In Georgia, it's known as an invasion of privacy. First offense is a misdemeanor. Subsequent offense is a felony. And that just varies by state and territory, like what kind of crime it's considered, but it can be all kinds of different crimes. Unfortunately, there's no federal law. So if you're targeted in more than one state, you have to file lawsuits in each state. And the states that don't currently have a revenge porn law are Massachusetts, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Wyoming.
Interesting. Do you know, like, if these laws have been passed recently?
I think the most recent was last year, New York State.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, because, like you said, like in 2014, this was a huge thing for celebrities. So people are still behind, which I guess in many aspects, states are still behind.
Yeah.
But so I know you kind of touched on this. What is the process of having these photos removed?
So the process for having these photos removed, there's multiple avenues you can take. Women Against Cyberrape recommends first filing a police report, finding an attorney, and submitting a photo removal request to search engines, and also submitting a Digital Millennium Copyright Act notice. Women Against Cyberrape, our website provides links to request photo removal for Google, Bing, and Yahoo. But another resource I recommend is cagoldberglaw.com. This is a law firm in New York, but they act nationally, and they provide comprehensive instructions detailing various web applications policies prohibiting cyber rape, as well as links to forms to get these photos removed.
Okay. So when you go and like through the legal process for all this, what does the punishment typically look like for these perpetrators and distributors? And so I know working with rape counselors, it's very difficult in court cases to get that verdict just because of the nature of the crime. I'm curious, is it similar with this, or there's definitely, I guess, more evidence mostly?
It is very similar, actually. It's the same. Very rarely does someone get nailed for doing this, but it's okay. It's because they hide behind free speech. This is free speech. We can do this. And so they hide behind free speech and typically get away with the crime.
Is it sometimes like they can claim like, these pictures were given to me with consent? Does that ever come up as a argument, or is it typically like that's thrown out and they don't?
Oh yeah, for sure. And then like people will argue, oh, well, someone sent the photos to me, so now they're my photos. And it's like, that's not really how it works. Women have been known to get their body copyrighted so that they can submit copyright notices to any website that posts their photos.
Oh, that's smart. That's really smart. So I was going to say something earlier. I don't know, Annabelle, I know you're on TikTok a lot too. Just a couple of days ago, I saw a specific TikTok referencing a website that basically it was like a nudes sharing website, of course, like without consent and everything. So because of the TikTok, they said that they were able to get it down, but then once they would get it down under one link, it would pop back up on another link. Is that a common? Yeah,
for sure. I would describe it like, the animated movie Hercules, where he's fighting the dragon, he cuts off its head and it grows more heads, like 3 more heads or something like that. It's exactly like that. Like, because once someone has the photos, they can save them, distribute them to other people. They can also save them, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about computers or websites. But are there like people that their job is to do that side of it and get them down, or is it just like when something is brought up then people look to shut it down, or is there like someone constantly like monitoring it?
I don't think there's anyone constantly monitoring it, but there should be. But typically it's a lawyer's job or an attorney's job to go through for their clients and identify websites and issue takedown notices and things like that.
If someone listening is good at websites, you should make that a job.
Yeah.
Monitoring the internet, because I'm sure you do.
Yeah, because it sounds like right now a lot of it is on the victim.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Do you think, just this kind of like an obvious question, do you think that cyber rape the occurrences are increasing or decreasing?
They're actually increasing. I follow a lot of accounts on Twitter and things like that. It's due to the pandemic. So victims and targets and stuff like that are stuck at home with perpetrators, and they're without their methods of like support systems. They can't get out of the house. So it's increasing that way. And at the same time, it's increasing because of the pandemic, you can't like go on dates anymore. So people are like, oh, I'll just send a photo. And then that photo, unfortunately, gets leaked and things like that. So it's definitely twofold, but it has been increasing. I believe in Britain, there's a revenge porn helpline. They've reported double the cases they had this time last year.
Is there anything like that in the US, like a helpline or a website? Is your organization like kind of the main first line of defense for victims that they can go to for resources, or?
I don't know that there's a helpline right now in the United States. I usually see helplines for like Ireland, England, Europe, things like that. But there definitely should be one, something we're for sure gonna work on.
So you mentioned like individuals, like victims being with their perpetrators. So is this also a thing, like someone taking pictures of someone like unconsensually and then posting them instead of, okay, so it's not just that they were given the photos, like they're taking them on their own accord too.
It's any kind of intimate image, whether it was taken consensually or non-consensually. And that's actually another famous case. You know, people like to blame the victim and be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have taken the photos. Well, sometimes people have photos taken of them. They don't even know it. Mm-hmm. So Erin Andrews, I don't know if you guys remember this, but she was in her hotel and there was a guy in the room next door to her, and he like drilled a hole in the wall or something and took photos of her, and those were leaked, intimate photos. And it's like, there's nothing, she was in her hotel room. There's nothing she could have done. Like, and I know another common trend now is like upskirting. You know, like people will be below you on the stairs or something, they'll take a photo up your skirt, and it's like there's nothing you can do to prevent that from happening. That's on the perpetrator for being such a scumbag.
Right. Well, and sending someone an image does not automatically give permission for that.
Exactly.
Else. Yeah.
It's like people who blame the victim in these cases are very like slut shaming and sex shaming, and that's unfortunate. Yeah.
Well, I mean, realistically, like, especially with our generation and everything, a lot of people do it. Like,
exactly.
So it's not fair to blame them just because they were the ones who were victimized because of it.
Right.
Because yeah, definitely. Shoot.
I mean, like, you know, I'm 23. I've grown up with a cell phone. I've sent nudes to a lot of people, some people who I don't know very well. Like, how are you supposed to know even if there are photos of you on the internet and you don't even know about them? Like,
so something people suggest is setting up a Google alert for your name. You know how you can get Google News alerts and things like that? You can set them up for your name so that like if a website pops up and it has your name on it, you'll be alerted.
Okay.
Will they use the victim's name or like a lot of the time, or try to conceal it?
They love using the victims' names. The founder of Women Against Cyberrape actually, when she found her photos on the internet, they were alongside a gallery of other women with her address, her occupation, her full name. So survivors of cyberrape are often doxxed by these websites.
Wow. That's great.
I'm going to say this has been very enlightening. I had absolutely no clue up until like a week ago when I saw that TikTok, and until like I started looking at y'all's Instagram and everything. But I had no clue it was as prevalent as it apparently is, which I feel like people say that a lot too, like when we talk to them about sexual assault. So yeah, I think this was the point that I had forgotten earlier, but I think that it really just goes back to that basic thing that kids are not being taught consent, and they're not being taught decency when it comes to other people's bodies. And for some reason, people seem to think that they have some right or some ownership of another person's body, and that's why sexual assault happens, and that's why cyberrape happens.
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah. So
what about Snapchat?
Oh,
do you get like a lot from that? Like, do you hear about
it does
that?
happen a lot on Snapchat, because I know like I know it alerts you if you like take a screenshot, but I believe there are also apps where you can screen record and the other person would have no idea.
Yeah, or someone take a picture from another phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, so if you could give any like advice to someone in this situation, or like someone, like, is there anything people could do? I don't want to say like to keep this from happening, because I don't want to put the blame back on the victim.
Right.
But are there ways that, like, I don't know if there's certain apps or certain things that are safer to use?
Or ways to protect yourself.
I would recommend using a strong password on any account that you have that has access to photos like this, because that's how all those celebrities got hacked in 2014. It was on the iCloud. So definitely, I know it's like harder to have like a more complicated password, but the harder your password is, the less likely that someone's going to be able to access those photos. So that's something I would suggest. I would also suggest, like I said, the Google alert if you're concerned about your photos popping up attached to your name. And then if it has happened to you, definitely keep evidence, report the photos, and alert people close to you, because it might be better that the news comes from you rather than like your mom getting sent photos of you by a stranger.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Those are actually really good tips, and I'm going to go set up a Google alert for my name after we get off this podcast.
Yeah, I have, another one. So say this has happened to you, right? And you go to apply for a job, or are there types of discrimination protections against people who are victims of cyber rape?
I actually don't think so. I do a lot of research and I've never come across something like that. But I know people have been denied jobs for this type of thing. Like, you're not, unfortunately, like, people are not going to hire you if they Google your name and intimate images come up. That's just an unfortunate part of our society. But no, I don't think there's any kind of like anti-discrimination law against that.
Eileen, Annabelle, do y'all have any other questions or comments?
Nope.
All right.
You did some good work, my girl.
Yes, definitely. So we like to always end the podcast with having our guest give like a message or something that they would like to say to survivors of sexual assault, rape, in this instance, cyber rape, just anything you would like to say or for them to know.
Yeah, for sure. My advice is don't let the victim blaming get you down. People who aren't survivors often like to blame the survivor for taking the photos in the first place, but like I said, that's not always the case. And this is shaming behavior, and it's not effective in preventing the problem from continuing. it is only on the perpetrator for sharing the intimate photos. It is only their fault that the photos got leaked. It is not your fault. It is not anyone else's fault except the perpetrator, the person who leaked the photos without your consent. And I also just want to let survivors know that, like, you're not alone. There's a place for you, and we're listening.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed getting to learn more. I think this is the first like person we've had come on and like be able to like really like enlighten us and share like a new topic with us. So I appreciate that so much, and thank you guys so much for everyone listening. Thank you, Kayleigh, for coming on, and we will talk to y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.